he has strings that shoot out of his arm. Like, yeah, he was the idea guy behind all
But
this.
in all honesty, he hasn't been in a picture for probably 20 to 30 years.
Yeah. He literally just shows up and they go, "Oh, Stan's here."
Yeah.
Like half the time in the cameos, they didn't know he was going to be there. They were just like, "Oh, Stan's here."
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
serious.
Like I had heard a rumor. I had actually heard a rumor that there was enough cameos for Stan Lee to appear in the next 4 movies. I mean, that could be true. Could not be true.
I don't think it is true because he wasn't in Spider-Man. He wasn't in Spider-Man at all.
No, well, I think they did something. I think it was a picture or some sort of a comment, but I know it in the, I don't know if it was in the beginning or the end, I don't remember, but it was in tribute to Stan Lee.
You know what? You saw Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Here's my gripe with that movie. The beginning, where they had the part where they showed Tony Stark's picture.
Yes.
They showed Captain America, even though he didn't die, he's just an old man now.
Yeah, and spoiler alert if you guys didn't happen to watch the movie.
Sorry, spoiler alert. How did they get a picture of Vision? This was like a picture of Vision in the battle, like the battlefield. You know that, right? Like, who took that picture?
I don't know.
That's odd to me that when the high school kids had access to these pictures.
You know what? I didn't. Not to say that I didn't like the movie. I liked the movie. I thought it was a good movie. Probably like an 8 out of 10 for me as far as like the almost as good as the last Spider-Man movie, but I think it was eerily similar for me. Like the characters, the villains.
Yeah.
Everything was very, very similar.
It's too much Tony Stark.
Well,
in my opinion, too much Tony Stark.
That's the thing. Like, Tony Stark was the glue that held everything together.
Al O'Donnell answered it. CGI him in. At this stage of the game, he's CGI.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely could.
Yeah.
Al with the answer.
Don't you feel like that's a little much?
No.
That's like, oh, well, we got a bunch of new Disney movies. Let's just CGI Walt Disney in the movies.
If anyone saw the Ghostbuster movies were dope because all of them showed up as different characters. Like when Dan Aykroyd, did you see the new Ghostbuster movie? I really wasn't a big fan of
trash.
it.
The girl one?
Yeah.
Not because they're women.
Let's
establish that.
Go ahead.
No. Because sometimes you gotta say stuff like that first. Not because they were ladies, because it was a trash movie.
It was trash writing. It was trash acting. It was trash CGI.
I'll say it in Spanish. It was basura.
Bill Murray shows up, right, and you're like, oh, this is great. This is what I've been waiting for. 30 seconds later, he's axed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What's his name shows up at the end to fight with his niece over the cat, or the hearse.
Or whatever.
The hearse. Remember the hearse got banged up?
Yeah.
So that was her uncle. And then when what's his name shows up in the scene where they're trying, he's like, oh, I don't go downtown like that. And it just drives off, closes the cab, and goes. That's all I needed for the Ghostbusters.
That was horrible. That was such a bad movie.
They could have done such a...
I liked it.
They're actually doing Ghostbusters 3, right?
Well, they're coming out with a... I want to say it's Ghostbusters 3.
I think it's a continuation.
It's going to be with Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray,
Ernie Hudson,
and
I heard what's her name sign on, Sigourney Weaver. The only one that's not going to be part of it is Rick Moranis.
He may or may not sign.
He quit acting.
He quit acting because his wife died, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would be awesome if he came back. That would be...
There was a small rumor, I think, on Facebook that said that he wanted to do it, but I don't know if he actually had the heart to do it.
Dude, he was that guy in the 90s.
Yeah.
He was that guy.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and even when he did a lot of stuff with like what's his name, Steve Martin, Steve Martin Short. It was just like all crazy stuff.
Number one thing to come out of Comic-Con is the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. That was awesome to see. I'm glad that they're still... That's going to be an awesome... I love those movies. I can watch them all day. There's no good stoner comedies coming out lately. There really hasn't been.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There hasn't been any good film. Everything's been remakes. I'm sick and tired of remakes.
And not to say that I'm a Kevin Smith junkie, But like I've watched Clerks, I've watched Jay and Silent Bob Mallrats. I'm trying to think of Dogma. Dogma is a really good movie. But for me, Kevin Smith is a one-trick pony for me. I find him, and this is not a knock on him or his quality of directing, but he writes a lot of stories very similarly. He films them similarly. He uses the same actors a lot.
All the same
like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are always in his movies from the very beginning. Like they've always been there.
But wasn't that Adam Sandler's thing too?
Yeah.
It's like he's creating his own universe.
But that's why Adam Sandler is now off the deep end and like
Netflix.
in Netflix land, where he's trying to find stuff to do with his buddies, like David Spade.
Jennifer Aniston too.
I love Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
For an old lady, she is smoking.
For an old lady, how old is she?
She's like 50.
Seriously.
I swear.
What
How
about
old
that
is
woman
Courtney
becoming?
Cox?
Probably right around there.
She looks like a cat person.
Yeah.
What about that woman becoming Thor? That's probably the most interesting thing I found of it all.
Lady Thor.
Yeah,
with Natalie Portman.
right.
Yeah.
And then, from what I understand, there's going to be like a LGBT relationship somewhere in the Marvel universe, is what I read. I don't know how true that is, but I would imagine now's the time if you're going to do it.
Well, technically, they had one with Valkyrie, and that was in the Thor movie, of course. But it's weird because Natalie Portman, and I'm not 100% sure on the whole backstory of the female Thor. But I mean, if I had to look into it, I'm sure it has something to do with something. I don't know. So if you guys are listening, watching, if you guys have a little more insight than us as far as female Thor, lay it on us in the comments.
I like what I was saying. Is there anyone out there writing anything new? There's really nothing new. Like, there's nothing. You know, like there really is nothing that makes you think. Like, you want to know what? And I have to say, was a pretty good remake. Was the Friday the 13th one? I'd say. I kind of like that. People really didn't like it, but I like how it explained how he heard like the bells were allowed him to know he was underground, so that's how he moved faster to get to different things. Like that to me is interesting because it gives you an insight into what happened, how it became what it is. Yeah, I thought that was unique. I like the Michael Myers movie that recently came out
For Halloween.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that bad.
No, it was good. I think we talked about that last.
And
2 weeks ago, maybe.
And then there was also the Chucky movie. Child's Play wasn't that bad. It was not bad.
Mark Hamill's actually the voice of Chucky.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that. It was good. It was decent.
I haven't watched it.
He basically becomes a smart buddy.
Yeah.
Like he can now function with the TV and do all this other stuff.
Alert.
It's a pretty good one though, honestly. But yeah, stuff like that seems cool. But there's nothing that's new. Like really.
There really isn't. There's nothing.
Everything is a continuation of an older movie or a redo or a live adaptation.
Yeah.
Or just a continuation in the story. And that's the thing for Marvel. Like right now, they're building an empire.
Yeah.
And it's a huge empire. Like after the what is it? What do they have? 20 something movies. Something like that.
Crazy.
In their repertoire as far as superhero is now a genre of movie. Like if you look at it, like the what was that with James Gunn?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, the newest one that he just did with the little Superboy with the mask.
Brightburn.
Brightburn.
Yeah.
Yep. Brightburn was a very dark, sadistic movie. Really, really well shot. I thought it was well shot.
You know what movie I'm excited for? That I saw the trailer for while I was at Lion King today. Cats.
All right, we can't talk anymore.
Surprisingly, it looked
Only because it has your girl in it.
It looked good, dude. Oh my god, dude!
I
it
never
looked
had to
great.
live that.
It looked great. Whatever.
I'm just saying,
Your girl Taylor Swift is in it.
And Jennifer Hudson too.
And Jennifer Hudson too.
Jason Derulo was in it.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Here's a question for everybody out there, right? This is something that I really got to ask is, what do they do? So right now you're catching lightning in a bottle a second time. Like, you now have parents taking their kids to see Lion King or Aladdin.
Or by themselves.
Yeah. What are you going to do when they don't have that anymore? Like, what are you going to do 10, 15 years on the road, 20 years on the road when our kids have kids? Dead. Well, you're going to be 99, you said. You're going to die.
99 and a half.
99 and a half.
Yeah.
Don't forget the half part.
I find it a little funny that they said that Aladdin actually did well in the box office. Mm-hmm. How is that even possible? Like,
because people want to try and re-catch that moment,
that nostalgia.
Yeah,
that's what it was for me with Lion King, man. When spoiler alert, when Mufasa died, woo, the feels, and it was in 3D too. I was like, ugh, Mufasa,
holding it back.
But the hyenas didn't have the same flair that they had in the original. That was the only thing
funny.
That's the only thing I didn't like, was that the hyenas weren't as funny. They were like, Whoopi Goldberg should have definitely been in the reboot, but whatever.
I mean, I just think, like, what do you do when that moment comes? Because, I mean, obviously my kid isn't so, in awe of Simba and Pumbaa and all that. You know,
my kid.
And it's like, to me, like, it's just a lost art. Like, what do you do 10, 15? You're not going to be able to go and say, 20 years ago, Aladdin was #1 in the theaters twice. A third time is going to be ridiculous. Like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Hakuna Matata, dude.
You know? And I really am disappointed, like, being a Will Smith fan my whole life, I really don't think he played. Maybe it's just a thing that I think Robin Williams as a comedian was just a little bit better than Will Smith, and I love Will Smith. I think Will Smith is a diverse actor, but he can't do the genie.
No,
the genie was built for him.
Yeah, I agree. I think, from my honest opinion, like, I think the genie should have died with.
Absolutely.
With
you think so?
I agree.
I think so. I don't think that they should have ruined what the genie was, like the mystical, funny, like, blue creature that he brought to the table. You know what I mean?
I didn't see it. I didn't see the remake.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan.
I mean, there's like Aladdin Aladdin movies, like animated movies. Yeah. There was the cartoon itself, and then of course, like, he was the embodiment of the genie. And that's what he did. Like, he brought his full character to it. Like, that's like saying, like, all these roles, like Jim Carrey played the best Ace Ventura. Like, there could have not been anybody at that time that could have filled his shoes for that comedy role.
Yeah.
And there's other ones too. Like, there's a whole bunch of different actors that you would say, like, Robert Downey Jr. was built to play Iron Man.
Yeah, they can't replace him.
But also, it's a perfect storm. Like, he went through what he went through, and then fell on his face, and then picked himself back up, and just became Tony Stark. It was just a perfect storm. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just like what's his name for that wrestling movie? There's no one else that could play that wrestler, that Ram Jam or whatever his name is. Is it the wrestler? Is that the one with He was the guy with the
Whiplash.
Yeah.
He looks like a cat person too. There's something about cats tonight, bro. He plastic surgery. Excuse my French.
I can't think of his name.
Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
Cat. He's Mickey Rourke, a cat person.
I could see him with, like, skinless cats, or not skinless cats, like the hairless cats. The hairless cats. You know what I mean? The Sphinx cats.
Yeah.
I could see him with a couple of those.
And I think, like, some of the comments here inside this thing, it is, I mean, looking at it, right, Will Smith tried too hard. There's certain things, like, there's just certain roles that you can't.
Right. Trying to bring in that Will Smith flair. It was like, woo, haha, yeah. I'm getting genie with it. That was so corny.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did that.
It's like, you guys, there's no way to replace Bad Boys. Bad Boys is Bad Boys. If they try, like, just like...
They're coming out with the new Bad Boys movie soon, too.
But it has to have Will Smith and Martin. It can't have one without the other.
If
there's not two... You know what else kind of irritates me in the whole situation with some of these, like you're talking, the Marvel series, right, is... And maybe it's just me as a person, but, like... those roles have to be played by those people throughout the entire movie, and if they're not, they have to be written out. Like I don't. I have a big thing when it comes. Like I don't have any